In 1920, archaeologists in ancient Mesopotamia found a game board over 5,000 years old, fully complete with dice and carved from human bones. This game is so old it doesn't just predate modern nations, it predates most of the empires we learned about in school. And by the Middle Ages, it was so popular and the gambling so out of control that the church started banning it. Even monks were being thrown out of monasteries for playing it. King Edward III of England once lost the equivalent of 240 days of a labourer's wages in a single session. And now, it's showing up in coffee shops and parks all over the world again. This is the ABCs of table games. And B is for backgammon. All right, so let's learn it properly. All right, here is the board. First time you look at it, it looks a bit overwhelming. All these triangles, all these points. But here's what it actually is. The board is split into 4 sections called quadrants. Your home board, your outer board, your opponent's home board, and their outer board. Those triangles, they're called points. There are 24 of them, numbered 1 through 24. And running right down the middle of the board, that raised divider, that's called the bar. Now, both players are moving in opposite directions. White moves from point 24 toward point 1. Brown moves from point 1 toward point 24.
Basically, you're going around the board, not across it.
Exactly. Let's talk about what you've actually got in front of you. You've got 15 checkers each, brown ones and white ones, and you each get a matching pair of dice. Now, you'll probably also have this. This is called the doubling cube. It's brilliant, but we are not using it today. That is a conversation for another day. And if you've got a decent set, you'll also have these. Dice shakers, cups, 1 each. Shake your dice in here, tip them out on your side of the board. More on the dice in a second. First, let's set this thing up. This is the bit that looks complicated. It isn't. Memorize these 4 numbers and you'll never need to look it up again. 5, 3, 5, 2. Here's what that means. 5 checkers on point 6. 3 checkers on point 8. 5 checkers on point 13. 2 checkers on point 24. And your opponent does exactly the same thing, mirrored on the other side. Same numbers, opposite direction.
If you can remember your phone number, you can remember this.
Right, board is set. Let's actually play. To start, each player rolls 1 die. Whoever rolls the higher number goes first. Now, here's the bit that trips people up. The player who goes first doesn't re-roll. They use both dice, the one they just rolled and their opponent's. So if you roll a 5 and your opponent rolls a 2, you go first and you move using a 5 and a 2. If you both roll the same number, just roll again until someone wins. After that opening move, you each use your own 2 dice every turn. On your turn, you roll both dice. Each die is a separate move. So if you roll a 4 and a 2, you make 2 moves. You can move 2 different checkers, 1 4 spaces, 1 2 spaces. Or you can move the same checker twice, 4 spaces, then 2. Now, here's where it gets interesting. You cannot land on a point where your opponent already has 2 or more checkers. That point is blocked. You have to go past it, go around it, or rethink entirely. But if your opponent only has one checker on a point, that single checker is called a blot. And landing on a blot, that's a very different story. When you land on a blot, that checker gets hit, and it goes to the bar.
Stuck on the bar with no bartender.
And here's the thing about being on the bar. You cannot do anything else until you bring that checker back into the game. Nothing. You can't move any of your other checkers. Getting back on the board comes first. So how do you get back in? You roll your dice, and you're trying to enter into your opponent's home board. The number you roll has to match an open point in their home board. If that point is blocked, you can't enter on that number. And if all points in their home board are blocked, your turn is over. You don't move at all. Quick one on the dice. You shake them in your cup and tip them out on your right side of the board. Both dice have to come out at the same time. If one stays in the cup, illegal throw. Roll again. If a die hits another checker or falls off the board, same thing. Roll again. It sounds fussy, but once you've been playing a while, you just know. Now, if you roll doubles, same number on both dice, something very, very good happens. You don't just move twice, you move 4 times. So if you roll double threes, you get 4 separate moves of 3 spaces each. You can use them however you like. Spread across different checkers, stack them all on one, whatever serves your game best.
Roll doubles, play 4. Simple as that.
One more thing worth knowing, and this is more of an advanced concept. If you manage to block 6 consecutive points, back to back, that's called a prime. And it is devastating. Because your opponent's checker is trapped behind that wall. They literally cannot pass it. Not unless you break the prime, which you might have to. You don't need to build one today, but now you know what it means when you hear it. And when you see one being built against you, start worrying. All right, the home stretch. Once all 15 of your checkers are in your home board, and only then, you can start bearing off, which means removing checkers from the board entirely. You roll your dice, and you remove a checker from the matching point. Roll a 5 and a 3, remove 1 from point 5 and 1 from point 3. Now, what if you roll a number higher than your highest checker? Say you roll a 6, but your furthest checker is on point 4. You simply remove from point 4 instead, the highest you've got. And, just to keep things exciting, if one of your checkers gets hit during bearing off, you have to bring it all the way back around before you can resume. So, don't leave blots in the endgame. That's the lesson. First player to remove all 15 checkers wins. That's it. And if you are ready to learn from a professional or find a board, go to @across the table. Links below.